Well, it's all fun today. At the moment I'm up here trying to sort out this mess. It's all changed up here, but we've been having all sorts of fun. Everyone's coming up with the problems. So I just had Liam bring up the gun. Our collet gun has had it, the screws have had it, etc. They are like, I think, £800 for this collet gun. It's just ridiculous. So the best thing for me to do is just buy the screws, bigger screws. We're going to drill it and retap it out, and then we're going to use basically specialist thread lock screws from Accu. We also had all of our, well, 2 of our jigs fail. Matthew's just asked me to basically order new jigs, and we just realised actually we probably need to keep these jigs on Kanban. I think that would be the sensible thing to do. And then there's this mess of a toilet to sort out, and we've got a lighting designer starting with us mid-late June, and I really don't want to bring her in and it be like this. And the toilet never used to be like this, but we've had a series of blockages. It's just been an absolute mess. So it's all change all around here at the moment. I'm starting to put the panelling up against that wall there. Took the wall out. I don't know if you remember, there was actually a wall that went, we can see that line on the floor just there, and there was a wall all the way around there and all the way around there. And next to come out is my office, which is fun. And then we start the panelling over this way. And again, I'm just reusing frame bits that I've got. Half this panel's not fully secured yet because, well, the vacuum cleaner's plugged in there and so on and so forth. And my office is just an absolute mess at the moment because we've got all this stuff, especially down here. All of that's for sale on eBay, well, except my shoe there. That shoe shouldn't be there. And again, all of this to be relocated and moved around. Tons and tons to do. But you know what? The bit that I'm really excited about is that this is obviously like the worst it's gonna be, and it's gonna be absolutely amazing. So this right here is the render of the new toilet. It's pretty cool. It's all oak cladded and wall hung toilet, so we can clean all the way down to the floor and really have a really nice space that kind of matches with, well, this cladding over here. And then we're also, instead of having office spaces, we're going to open plan, but the disadvantage I always think of open plan is that you can easily get distracted by talking to other people, and you just get into conversation, and then before you know it, you've lost hours of the day. So instead, what we're doing is we're getting some amazing office pods. They're coming from China. I found a supplier on there. I was looking everywhere online, just looking at various different office pods, and I just found them to be really, really expensive, and they didn't seem like that great. And then I bought, a few pieces of equipment and whatnot from China over a few years, and it's like variable. Sometimes you get something that's really, really good, like our Gonyo photometer that's behind here, and sometimes you get stuff that is just crap. And like our vibratory tumbler, actually, that's the quality of that is really, really poor, but it does the job, I suppose. Well, this supplier seems to be pretty much on the ball. They've sent us these amazing pictures of just the sockets going in. You can kind of see like the insulation going around it, and I'm hoping, so we're doing 3 of these pods, and then and they're on wheels. So the idea is that when we fully utilise this space, which I will get onto at another stage, we can push those pods out the way and really get on and use them. So in other news, we spent a significant amount of money on a conveyor. We got the Hydrofeed do this rotor rack, and so it's not a rotor rack actually, it's their own version. I think they fell out with rotor rack or whoever it is, and they come up with their own one, and they do that and the conveyor, and we're gonna basically stick that on the Nakamura because we're losing some 10% of our parts to scrap. Basically the parts are falling in the scrap bin, never to be kind of recovered again, and trying to find the parts after is actually really, really hard. So that's 10,000 ish, so 10,000 on that. The office pods were also shamefully about 10k. I've just spent £300 on a toilet. They're in there. I wanted a Japanese one, and Max told me no. It's more like he's the boss than I'm the boss. He's the boss until I spend it. But yeah, probably quite rightly, I suppose, but I really fancied it. And, you know, he said, no, don't waste your money. And I was like, okay. And he said, you know, we're only going to be here for another 2 years. So kind of like, what's the point in spending all that on a really, really nice toilet to kind of leave it behind? And I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take your point. So yeah, so we're not buying a Japanese toilet, but we're buying a wall hung toilet at the very least. Yeah, so the car's being wrapped, so that's another £1,800, I think, plus VAT. But you know, I mean, I know the VAT doesn't really count, but you know, it's still cash out of the business, right? I need Max. Max has got like way longer arms than me. So in other news, we've got baby number 4 due at home in like, I don't know. Well, basically, it's like 5-6 weeks, and you know, things at home are a challenge, shall we say, and I can't really now be too far from home as kind of like a result of that all. So I have to be, you know, like within a shall we say, a sensible distance of this place to be able to, you know, be able to get home quickly should I need to, because we're doing another home birth, and it's, you know, like I'm kind of like the main person involved in all of that, and I have to set up like a pool and it's not necessarily fill it with water because we don't do that anymore, but that kind of thing. And it just, like, we're talking probably an hour that I've got, and that's it. So I can't really be more than an hour away. That causes a bit of a dilemma really, because Chelsea, they want me on site. One garden wants me to help do the install, God knows why. And I need to basically try and help and assist and some bits and pieces. Plus I always see the designers and everyone doing the planting and whatnot, like on the last planting days during the week. So there's a bit of travel there, and you know, when you're that way, we are talking about an hour to get home at least. Yeah, I'm just reminding myself there's just like so many things actually that are going on. So as well, this evening we're looking at a new property, and with a view to moving the business with the property. So at the moment, so the business is based in Causden. I live in Nevin-on-the-Hill, which is about 1.5 miles up the road, not far. But it would be nice to own the unit, and you know, like know that, you know, like say when you're spending money, like right now we're doing it as, should we say, cheaply as we reasonably can. So we don't want to, you know, like why spend, you know, like loads and loads of money on something that you don't own. So yeah, we're looking at that and going, well, how can, you know, like how can we serve both the business and, you know, like our own wants and needs. And the idea is, push that in there. The idea is that we buy something that's got enough land so that you can actually build a unit. That's a thought. Whether or not it's actually practical, it's a whole nother question, because we're talking, you know, like a massive property value to be able to do that in Surrey. Because you know, well, not necessarily Surrey, but you know, possibly West Sussex, something like that. Maybe, you know, something towards Gatwick way, and you know, the costs either way are still absolutely huge. You know, we basically have to borrow from the bank about £1 million. What? Which I don't know. It terrifies me. You know, I'm like, is it possible? I don't really know. You know, I'm like, you know, can we afford it? Yeah, just about. It's a stretch. You know, so obviously you can do that over you know, 30 years, 35 years, and it's not, you know, it's not absolutely terrible, but it's still, it's a big deal, like a really, really, really big deal. So, you know, trying to work out how to do that right is a challenge, but I'm hoping that, you know, we can build, you know, the idea is actually, so Tandridge, if we do it in the Tandridge area, they actually give us a £50,000 grant towards the business, apparently. So that's something also that's like, I'm like, ooh, you know, that could be 50% of our unit build cost, you know, just the frame and the, you know, like some of the internals and whatnot, but it could be 50% of the cost. That's assuming that we kind of like self-staff that rather than get a contractor in. The state of these frames that came out from the existing walls, just an absolute mess, and I think everything's like the wrong height and stuff, which is not very useful. Yeah, so I just reminded myself as well, more money that was recently spent. I think you can start seeing a pattern here of where it all kind of goes wrong, and so Liam wanted a solution for all the tooling, and we looked and looked and looked at what was available, and there's some, like, you know, like, so you know the roll-on, you know, the cabinets, and you can buy really cheap cabinets, you know, like the roll-on ones and like the tall ones. You can buy, you know, 300 quid, something like that, 200 quid. But the reviews, I was reading all the reviews, and it was saying how flimsy the drawers were, how they wouldn't take weight, and you look at the weight that they're rated on, and I'm like, well, I know that, like, so for instance, we're gonna have a drawer with live tool holders in it, and one of the live tool holders weighs about 8 kilos, the double. And I'm like, well, you know, if you've got 3 of those and then 2 or 3 axials, you know, all of a sudden you're like 35 kilos in the drawer, and which is over the drawer weight. And the only ones that I could find that were decent, I know they're decent, is I can't think of the name now. Is it Cubio? So Bot Cubio stuff. So awesome cabinets. So we've ordered one, and it's like £1,100. I'm just like, oh my god, no, another thing. And then I bought aircon that we've got to fit. That cost me 800 quid for downstairs. We need it. Like, it is so hot. So it's only like 18 degrees out at the moment, and it is so hot downstairs. So hot. It's about 30, 28, something like that. I could probably find out actually on the tracking app, because we monitor like the air quality and stuff down there. So yeah, we spent money on that. And I'm sure there's something else that I've spent money on. I should say borrowed, right? Not spent. So I was gonna borrow the money as well. I was gonna go, oh, I'm gonna get like a 20 or 30k loan to fund it. And I was talking to Max, and Max was like, look, you know, I think we can do this if we get like the right number of sales. And I think he's right. And so, like, for instance, so this month we've done, we just finished, well, you know, we've got like a day left, but we basically just did 41,000, and our normal cost on materials is about 31,000. So, you know, there's about 10k in there, which would be net profit, but it's actually been spent on other stuff. So, you know, if we can have a few months like that, you know, we can pay it all ourselves without actually having to borrow anything, which would be pretty cool. My concern is that July, August, and sometimes September are bad months, because everyone goes on that, you know, 6-week holiday just literally just decimates the, like, unless you've got projects that are already going, you get really quiet during that period, which is really frustrating. I have got more actually. It just doesn't stop, does it? R&D. So we're doing some really cool projects at the moment. So we're doing a collaboration with a garden designer. So I'm quite excited about that, and we're also doing a new brand that I'm not going to tell you about because I don't want to dilute the brand of Hudson Lighting, but it's still British made, but it's just some like more inexpensive stuff, so there aren't really any options, there's no customization on it, it's kind of like just one thing. And we think it would do quite well in terms of like our older customer base that kind of got priced out with the lights as they are currently. Let me just bash this off. So, you know, that's the idea. You know, we're trying to serve them, and because I think they liked what they used to install. That's that's a conversation to be had, because it's always interesting really, but you know, what was 3 years ago, what we used to manufacture 3 years ago versus today, very different product. And I'll say that, I think I'll say that every year, like, you know, this year versus last year, still, you know, like it's got better and better, and I think last year's product was awesome. 2023, great. 2022, yeah, you know, like there were definitely things that needed to be improved. And I think like the vibratory tumbler was like kind of like one of those big changes, and then, you know, with the advent of Nakamura and changing how we're you know, how we're finishing bits and pieces with that in kind of like one cycle, that all makes a difference too. So, you know, there's a lot of money being invested, a hell of a lot of money, but I'm excited about it. It's you know, like I know that there are rewards to be gained, shall we say, from all of this. You know, it's gonna, I'm confident it's all gonna work out. You just got to have that patience. Ow. You know, yeah, that patience to kind of like get through it, and I think, well, it's not just the patience in terms of mental patience, but also the patience from a cash flow perspective, because you know that's a whole challenge in itself. I mean, what the, why? Tell me why. Anyway. So yeah, there's a lot to do, but yeah, I'm excited. I really am. It's we got, I reckon, by the time we get through this year, I reckon we'll be in a really good place. You know, you have to, I always think for every 10 experiments you run, 9 fail. And that's your R&D, you know, that's your the money spent. But that one that does well, probably then for every 10 of the ones that do well, one of those does really, really well, and it's like an absolute game changer to the business. So so that's 100 experiments, I suppose, to look at that as to run to find your one golden nugget, should we say. And I'm pretty confident that this one's gonna do it. It's yeah, it's pretty special. I'm really excited about it. I don't know how much we'll cover on this side. We'll see what happens. Yeah, there's so much that's happened between me doing, when I used to do the vlogs. If any of you ever watched any of the vlogs that I used to do, like a massive amount has changed. Well, a lot of things have happened. I don't know how much things have changed. I think just a lot of things have happened. And I mean, one of those was one of our clients was recommending us get Neville Stein in, who's a business consultant for the whole horticultural industry. And yeah, he was here for like half a day and then went away and did his analysis and everything else. And you know, gave us some really solid advice about what we should be doing, what changes need to be made, and I've been like working my way through those. But I mean, again, that was another, I think, £1,100 spent. What's the total that we're up to? So it's Friday, and it's been one of those really mixed days where I felt like we got a lot done, but then I crashed the CNC lathe, which was not good, and it's like out by a lot. So that's a big mistake. And also, I just had the bad news that, so we were looking at moving, and we were going to put an offer in on a place, but I thought, well, first of all, let's do my due diligence and get, initially I was trying to ask the question, how do I find out this information? How do I speak to the council? How do I find out if they'll approve this building that we need to build for our manufacturing facility? And then I've been listening to Who Not How, which I highly recommend, really, really good book. And in that, the answer is basically to find a who, because you're probably not the who. And I found a who, and charged 350 quid, and he does like a detailed report on the area and whether or not you're likely to get planning or not. And he'd previously worked for local town planning, and he basically come back and gave us the bad news that no, you're very, very unlikely to get planning permission, which, you know, I'm glad I spent the £350 on, because otherwise I'd be offering I don't know, 1.1 or 1.15 million on a house and mortgaging myself to the absolute hilt to find out that I actually can't move into it. So yeah, and then I've started doing aircon today, and the frustration I think with doing that is that, again, I'm not really the who. I shouldn't be doing that. I should be an F-gas qualified engineer, but I just haven't been able to find one. And it's the same with the bathroom. I just spent loads of money on paneling, and again, I'm like, I want this done, but I'm not the who, and so I'm wasting my time, you know, doing this stuff, trying to put it together, when I really should be making sure that our customers are being looked after, and our clients, and doing our drawings, and doing the, you know, making sure the products are really good and everything else. And again, I think the same with the lathe. I think, you know, like now, I you know, historically I'd been on the lathe all the time, and it'd been me that had been doing the parts, and now I've handed over that responsibility pretty much fully to Liam now, and then he started to retrain Max. And, you know, say today I've caused this crash that could be it's probably gonna cost us another £3,000 in, you know, the realignment cost. And I'm like, I don't think I'm that who anymore. I know this is a really, it's a weird concept, but, you know, like you kind of like move on to all these things, and I think, you know, I look at, like, for argument's sake, I look at the electrics in my own house and I go, I used to be the who that would do all of that, and the other option we were looking at was whether or not we did a loft conversion, just for argument's sake. And Kirsty said to me, oh, Chris, you can do the electrics. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. If I'm spending that money on a loft conversion, let's get, you know, like someone else in. And it's funny how you kind of move in and out of different things that you kind of want to do, and I just don't think I'm that right who for a lot of those things anymore. But that's tough, because it means that you have to have money to pay for the right who's, and that includes actually editing this video, which is probably going to be me, and I'm not going to do a very good job of it, but that's the reality at the moment with the way it is. Anyway, have a lovely week.